All right. Hello, Darnell students. Miss Josie here, back with our weekly sessions. I hope you guys all had a great week. And we will start this week actually with a very important topic. I want to introduce you guys to a topic which involves youth violence. The month of April, we want to bring awareness to youth violence prevention. Prevention is something that we could stop from happening, okay? So in today's lesson, I'm going to share my screen with you guys here so we can kind of figure out what is youth violence prevention and what does that mean for us and what we can learn about it and how we can prevent it, okay? So let's go here. All right, so here is our youth prevention lesson, youth violence prevention, excuse me. All right. So, what is youth violence? So, youth violence would be considered when young people intentionally use physical force or power to harm or threaten others. Okay. So, when we're doing it on purpose, okay, when we want to make someone or hurt someone physically on purpose. Okay. This is seen as a public health problem, and it is something that we can prevent. So it's something that we're aware of, and we know that it's not nice, and we know that it's something that we might do sometimes, and sometimes we do it intentionally. Okay. Let's explore what are some types of violence. So some of you guys are saying, maybe I never do anything to hurt anybody, or maybe I didn't know that that was considered violence. Okay. So let's learn a little bit more of what types of violence there are. A little bit too much. Okay, so some types of violence would be considered bullying. I know that that's a word that you guys probably heard several times, especially in a school setting. Okay, so violence is bullying and fighting, threatening with weapons. Okay, and gang related violence. Um, threaten with weapons. So when we think about weapons, we think of, like knives or guns. But sometimes, like in a school setting, maybe we're using different things other different things that can be used as a weapon, right? So some might think, like a marker or a ruler, if you're throwing it at somebody or if you're hitting someone with an object, that could be considered a weapon too. Okay. So I want us to be aware of certain things that we do is considered violence. Okay. Who does it affect? Who do we hurt and who do we affect? Okay. So I'm going to show a video right now to you guys, but violence, it actually affects a lot of people, thousands of young people. Okay. So that's why it's called um, youth violence. Okay. So it's when younger people are being violent towards each other. Okay. It affects and impacts their family. Okay. Their community, which is like their neighborhood and their schools, things around them. Okay. Genders, so like males or females. Okay. It can affect pretty much anybody in a young setting, all races and all ethnicities. Doesn't matter if you're black or white or Asian. What we're saying here is that violence happens in all cultures. Okay. And it can be stopped and it can be prevented. Okay. Let's watch a clip though and help explain a little bit more of what this looks like.
Hi, I'm Maya,
And I'm Darius.
and we have to talk about something.
It's bullying.
When people think of bullying, they think of kids getting shoved into lockers or having their heads flushed in a toilet. But the truth is, bullying can be a lot more complicated than that.
Bullies use their power to hurt or control others. And they might make you feel unsafe in places where you should feel protected.
And that's not okay. Your school, sports teams, and after school clubs have to be safe spaces for everyone. There was a time when I didn't feel welcome at school. Some girls that I thought were my friends had decided I wasn't cool enough for them. Everywhere I went, they either laughed at me, made fun of me, or ignored me altogether. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, there was a time when I didn't feel safe at school. I started to dread coming to football practice because one of my teammates would always take the drills too far. It didn't seem like anyone noticed. I mean, the coach was too busy focusing on the whole team to see me being bullied.
No one ever has the right to hurt you or make you feel unsafe.
The problem is, bullying is hard to stop. And that's because most people's first reaction to bullying is to ignore it. You may feel like it will go away, but the problem with ignoring it,
Is that it won't stop, and it might even get worse. Maybe you're embarrassed, or you want to believe that it's not a big deal.
or maybe you're afraid that telling will make it worse, or that whoever you need to tell won't understand or be able to help.
But trust us, because we've been there. If you're being bullied, there's only one way to deal with it.
Stop, walk away, and tell an adult. Stop taking the abuse.
Get yourself away from the situation.
And go talk to an adult you trust. Tell them everything.
Parents, teachers, counselors, and coaches' first priority is your safety. Believe me, there are adults that want to help you.
Bullies might scare you out of telling, but if you tell an adult, the bullying is more likely to stop.
The adults in our lives won't tolerate bullying, but we can't tolerate it either. We have to stand up for each other. And we all know some kids get it the worst.
Last year, a friend of ours started feeling unwelcome and unsafe at school. He was being bullied for weeks just for being different and having different interests than some of the other kids at school.
We didn't want to see our friend get hurt or feel like he didn't belong. So we helped do something about it.
Kids who are LGBTQ, or who are of color, or maybe have learning challenges or physical differences, might get bullied the most. We need to work together to decide how safe our school can be.
Our differences are our strengths. We also know that bullies need help too.
But we can't tolerate their behavior. Never ignore bullying. Never stay silent. You will help yourself and help your bully more by speaking up.
Stop, walk away, and tell an adult. Even if the bullying happens online or on your phone, speak up whenever you see, hear about, or experience bullying.
Do it for yourself, for your friends, for the kids you've never even met. Always speak up.
It's time we work together to make our schools safer for everyone.
All right. So that video was a great way to explain. I know it really focused more on the bullying aspect, but I think that that was a great way to kind of talk about how you guys can prevent it from happening, okay? How we can stop violence in any form, okay? Whether it's on campus, in your community, okay? So these are great tips and great ways to learn about what is violence, okay, and bullying is one of them, but this explains kind of like what we can do to help one another, okay, be safe, to create safe spaces. Some of the risk factors to violence. Okay, what does that mean? So, people who are more likely to experience this. Okay, so exposure to violence. So, if you've seen, so we talk about the bullies, right? We want to help the bullies. Why are people bullying? There's something that's going on inside of them, right? And so, this would be some of the things that these bullies encounter. Maybe they've already seen violence and they think it's okay. Harsh discipline. So maybe the people who are hurting other people have had also very harsh experiences themselves. Okay, maybe a lot of them have been social rejection, which means they try to make friends and then they end up getting bullied. So then they become the bully or they become the attacker or someone who wants to hurt someone. Okay, Poverty, meaning that they kind of grew up in a place where they didn't have lots of opportunity, lots of money. Their community is very poor, right? And so sometimes these students are exposed to all these different things that make them either become violent or become a victim of violence. Okay. So, what are some ways that we can help stop? Well, the video showed us a couple. And then we have here, we have problem solving skills. So protected factors. Protected factors means things that we can do to help the situation, okay, to make it stop from happening. And problem solving skills, we talk a lot about that in school. When you have a conflict with another person, how do you solve those problems? Do you solve it in a positive way? And what does that look like? Okay. So using more of your problem solving skills, positive relationships with adults. So the more great relationships that you have with your teachers, your mom and dad, counselors, and a trusted adult, that's going to really help us and protect us from youth violence. Okay. Commitment to school. When you are at school and you are fully committed and you want to be, the best Darnell student you can be, you go and tell a teacher when you see something that is not happening, where you look at the situation, you're like, this is not a right situation, this feels wrong, then you go get a trusted adult. Okay. A protected community environment as well. The same thing in your environment. When you see something happening and you're seeing violence, or you're like, this is not right, who do we normally call? We call the police. We call and say, hey, there's something going on in our community, we don't feel safe, come and help us. Okay. So these are all great protected factors to help us. Okay. And last but not least, our Darnell community, our students are respectful and we're responsible and we're safe. Okay. So also just think about, those are ways that we can help prevent youth violence on our campus and in our communities, and how we can, take that into our homes, as being a respectful individual, a respectful and responsible and a safe student. So when you're practicing all of these, you're doing your job in preventing youth violence. Okay. So I hope that this lesson was helpful for you guys. Okay. And if you have any other questions, you can ask your teachers, or you can come to me, Miss Josie, Mr. Gomez. We're counselors. We love to answer any questions that you guys have about our lessons, or if you have any more thoughts or concerns. Okay. So hope you guys have a great week. And I'll see you guys next week on our next session.